All right, so we'll hang out here till we get a few people online. I'll get my iPad going. Let's see what's happening over there. And let me get my little, here we go. We'll see if we have anybody. I'm on the page. There it is. I have the video up, so my comments are on. If anyone's out there, you can say hello. I know there's a couple people out there. Welcome. Let me put this back where it belongs so I can see it as I'm going along. All right, so welcome everyone to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America, and today we're talking about cutwork. And we're going to be talking about the cutwork needles and using the Artistic Digitizer software to create your cutwork and different ways that you can create cutwork. There are designs out there that come pre-programmed. You can buy them at different sites, and they have cutwork, and they give you a line that you follow in the embroidery part where you would cut away. And you can design that way too. If you don't have the cutwork needles, you can do that also. You don't have to use the needles, but if you have the cutwork needles or blades, and I'm going to show you those in a little bit so you can see what those are about. And also you can create your own cutwork with shapes, or you can take another design, another embroidery, and turn it into a cutwork design, and I'll show you that too. So let me see what's out there. If you have any comments, go ahead and put them in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them as I go. I am going to be live here, and then I'm going to go to the machine for a little bit, and then back to the software to show you how to create in the software. So let me just show you a couple samples of cutwork, and I think this came out already. This is a pillow that I did for McCall's Quilting, and this is paint stitch in the center, and then there's ambiance quilting, which you can't see. I'm going to get real close. It's very hard to see this. The camera sort of washes out that part of it, but this is the part I want you to see, is right up here. This is a design that was in the software. It's actually a clip art design, and I brought it in, and parts of the design, like on the edges here, I turned those into cutwork. So you can see they're open here. And then I put a piece of fabric behind it, a piece of shiny tool or whatever behind it, and then that's in the shape here, so it's held in with that. So I did all the sewing, all the cutting, all the embroidery, and then I layered the fabric underneath. And that's sort of what I'm doing with today's project. I am working on block 7 of our mystery quilt block today, so you get to see that. So that's one way to do cutwork. This is really maybe more reverse applique. You can actually do it as cutwork also. But here I have my line around the outside edge, you can see here, and then I cut away the fabric to reveal the pink. Now this one I actually did as reverse applique, so I layered it up, did all the stitching, and then I revealed these parts. But you could also turn this section into cutwork and cut it with the blades, or cut it ahead of time and then layer your fabric in there. And when you do that, you could put different colors in the different spaces if you wanted to. So that's one of those. And then I have another one that I did a dress, and I was trying to get a skirt done over the last couple days, but it's just not happening. So this is my a really fancy dress that I made, and I wore this at our institute. So in the neckline there, I did these circles, and I filled them with, let me get my hand in here. I put net fill in there. See if I can get it. Where are they? Over here. So you can see there's net fill in there. So I created my circles. I put the decoratives around it. You know I love my polka dots. So I just did this little neckline. I try to hold the dress back a little bit. It's just a little kind of flary shirt, you know, kind of shirt dress kind of thing that I bought somewhere, probably at Dress Barn at the time. And then I just decided to amp up the top of it here, and I did make a tulle skirt for it that had applique circles on it in other tulle, which I've shown that before too, but I just wanted to show the dress today because this is really the cut work up in here that you can do. So you don't have to do you know, a fancy design like I did on that other one. You can just do shapes and things like that. So that's always you know, a good thing to do. So just to remember, and that's what I'm going to show you today, some different, some shapes that you can do, or taking a embroidery design and turning it into a cutwork design. So let me see if there's any questions in there. Oh, hi Tracy. Oh, Tracy and Dot are out there in Utah at the let's see, it's a quilt show. So I can't remember the name of that quilt show, but they're out there in Utah, out near Salt Lake City at a show. So if you wanted to see Dot while you're out that way, pop in the show, and then you can check out the machine and everything else that Janome has to offer there. All right. And let's see what else is up there. If there's any other question, any other things. Okay, we're good. Oops, wait a minute. Can we do cut work on? Yes, you can do the cut work on the 500E. You can do the cut work with the cut work needles on any embroidery machine that you have. So all you're doing is replacing your needle for the cut work needle or blade. So I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to show you what they look like. And I have a little bit of my design left to do, and I'm going to cut that part for you to show you that. So let me get over there so you can see. And this is actually our block 7. We're doing a beehive on there. So I created the shapes, and I'll show you how I did that. And these are, I have one of the blades in right now. They're different colors. Let's see if I can get them up here so you can see. Oh, that's a regular needle, so you can see what that looks like. And each blade is a different angle. So, and these are the flat back ones, so they go right where your needle goes, and they're all color coded. And in your machine, it will tell you which one to put in. I'm going to put the other one here. There we go. Like that. And they all have different, this is the blade part down here that will cut. Now I've cut everything on this one except for the green. I have to do the green next. It's asking me on the screen to put the green one in. And I'll show you on my screen what it looks like. So I'll slide over here so we can see the screen. And it says, change to cutwork needle. After changing the needle, press OK. So it has locked my machine for me. And it stopped right there. Let me get my place here. There we go. And I'm just going to use my screwdriver, and I'm going to loosen this up here like that. Pull that one out. I'm going to put all these back in here. And since I have a great big hoop, I'm keeping things sort of on the edge back here. Typically, I put them on the top of my machine when I use my smaller hoop. So this one has to go in. It does have that flat back, so you have to put it in the right way. Up it goes, finger tight, and then I just use a little bit there. And then I am going to remove these at this point since I don't need them on there. All right, I'm going to hit the OK on my screen because it says once you're ready. And now I'm going to hit the Start Stop button. And it's going to finish cutting. It's cut most of it, but it's just going to do the last little bit. That's the green. And I do have my machine set up at the fast as it can go. Typically that's where I go because the design will slow down where needed. I am using my straight stitch plate. Yes, you can use those on an older 300E if the software will read a needle. Yes, you can use, thank you, these are great questions. Kathleen asking those questions, yes. Kathleen, there are round needles also for the multi-needles. Multi-needles with a round needle. And one of the things our newer machines do too is they turn off the upper thread sensor. And way back when we first started using cutwork needles, we had to turn off our upper thread sensor because there's no thread up in here, and that's where your sensor is, up in here. So you'd have to block that with like a piece of cardboard or something. We used to do. Kathleen probably knows about that from a long time ago. Some of us long time embroiderers. I don't want to say old embroiderers. I'm just going to say long time embroiderers. They remember that. So I was going to show you the. Let's see. This is what the round ones look like. Get one out of here. These aren't as well marked, I don't think, as the other ones. You have to, I think you have to put them in the little thing here. See how it shows you the part there? So you would put your needle in there so you would know, and you'd put it in the different parts of your machine. So if these would fall out of here, that would be nice, but you know, nothing ever does. Oh, there it goes. So these are, you can see they're completely round, where my color-coded ones they're flat on one side. If you can kind of see there, it's flat. These are round. So these you have to use the little thing here, unless, I think there might be some out there that's color-coded, but these, you put them in here and it tells you which one it is, and then in your multi-needle you would put it in a certain position, and you would know what position that is, you know, needle 1, needle 2, needle 3, needle 4, and then you would make sure you assign that in your, you know, when you set up your cutting. I haven't used them with I don't have a multi-needle to use them with, so I haven't used them with a multi-needle. I just have them to show. And actually these, I think these are flat back ones too. I'm not sure. I got those somewhere. So anyway, so those are what they are. And now my software is saying to remove the fabric on my screen of my machine. So I can, let me move this needle, I'm going to put it in. So I could just lift these out like that. Look at that. Beautiful. Now I could save these if I was thrifty and do something with them. I don't know what, but I could save them. And that's just a little piece of stabilizer from before. So now I have this great big opening. You can see my bobbin case down in there. And I'm actually going to pull my hoop off and reset my bobbin because it looks like there's a little extra thread coming out of it. So I just want to make sure before I start, it's very helpful to do that. And then when I hit, after I remove the fabric, the screen is telling me to change to a sewing needle, and it's locked my machine for me. I can unscrew this one. I'm going to go put it back in its little case up here. And then here's my needle going back in. So flat back, pop it up in here. And I'm finger tight and just a little bit with the screwdriver. Just make sure it's in there. Then I'm going to rethread my machine. Now my machine is locked because the software told my machine to lock before I went on. So it did. Now if you have a lock on your machine, it will do that. If you don't, it'll show different things on the screen. It shows you the colors of the blades so you know which one to put in. And so there we go. And I'm going to hit the needle threader. Voila, look at that. Now those of you who have the CM17, this is the really important thing right here, is getting it over in that little catch right here, very to the left. That really helps in getting things going. All right, so let's touch OK there. And I'm just going to slide my camera back just a little bit so I can get my hoop off, because I want to check that bobbin case. I have a feeling something's amiss down there, and I don't want to restart with it that way. So it does look okay, but there's like a little extra piece hanging out there. Let's stick it back in, put it there, up over in there. There we go. And, you know, it takes me a couple seconds to do this, better than having not done it and then have to like stop in the middle of something to fix it. So it's just as easy to fix it. Now, while I had that out, I really should have added a piece of wash away. That's what's in these, is wash away. Okay, and I can slide that under, or it's easier if you just take your hoop out, slide this under like that. Now you could do this center part different ways. What my plan is to finish this stitching here, which is going to come all around this, and then I'm going to layer underneath the bee fabric, and then it'll come and do the other parts of the hive here. These are going to be solid, like closed cells, and these are the open ones where you can see the bees. Now I could have I did each of these in sets of 3, and then I put the stabilizer down in here. You really can't put this fabric down until you finish your cutting. So I could lay it under there now for this last one, but I think when I get the other stitching in here, this will raise up just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So let me show you what it looks like when it starts to sew. I do have one stitch stop on so that the I can pull that bobbin thread up. If you're doing cut work on something fancy, a clothing or something like that, you do want to use one stitch stop so that you keep the back looking as nice as the front, and you do want to use a matching thread on the back side. So we'll let that do its stitching. It's going to go around the block, or the hexie there, and then it'll start doing its zigzag. And I didn't really do any trimming once I took that out. I could, if there's any little fuzzies, I usually stop it at this point and fix that. So it's going to go around this one. I combined these in sets of 3, so that's why they'll move from one to the next. Hi Laurel, welcome. Let's see if I can, let's see. Yep, 500E. You can use these with any embroidery machine. They just go in place of your needle. There we go. And it's going to start that zigzag. You can set how many times you want it to go around, and I put the little extras in there because I wanted to give it a little base for that zigzag that it's going to do. So now it's going to start the zigzag, and at this point I sometimes just run my finger around here to see if there's any fuzzies that I need to get out of the way or trim up if I want to trim any more. This fabric actually, it does very nicely. I don't know if you can see over here, I sprayed it with Terrio Magic, so it's like it's very stiff. And when it's a cotton like that, I like to use the Terrio Magic even on my cutter because it really makes it made a really nice clean cut. So I'll show you, I'll let it start the zigzag and then I'm going to stop it, and because we really don't need to see it stitching all this time. But so there it goes. It's going to start the underlay, and I'm going to come up here and trim that out of the way. There we go. Mine, so Maria's asking about excess noise. Oops, I probably hit the wrong, I could probably hit a, so there is a leveler on the front and the back part of the embroidery unit itself. So you want to take off your wing and do that. Mine just probably just skims. It doesn't quite hover. I mean, I can slide something underneath it when I need to. I can, I can put it's about this off the bed of the machine by like a piece of fabric, so I can slide things under there. I do need to work on the back side a little bit. I was playing with that earlier. I think that's my one spot I need to readjust on there. So yeah, you'll get that balancing in there. It takes a little bit of doing the embroidery unit, and then also take a look when you take your unit all the way off and look at the bottom of it too. And then on the wings, there's little rubber feet on there. You use a screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, to adjust those. All right, so I'm going to stop this for right now, and then I'm going to show you over on the screen so you can see this, but we'll see it in the software too. So you can see all the red ones are going to be my open cells, and all the blue ones you're not going to see the bee fabric. So once this section gets done, I'm going to slide the bee fabric and the batting. I'm going to put it underneath, and I programmed in right here. I programmed in a basting that's going to hold that in place once I get it there, and then it's going to stitch all the blue parts. And I think all those blue parts, and then where this is going to be in the seam allowance, is going to hold down my open cells pretty well. And if I felt like I needed it, while it's still in the hoop, I could come in and I could, in the software first, make a outline stitch around all of these, and I could stitch that in before I take it out of the hoop, so that before I make any changes. So I have it in the software and still in the same place. And I did put this one, it's in the big hoop. I put it up in that left corner, and I pulled, this is a cutaway mesh stabilizer, and I pulled the stabilizer, all the extra, to this side and over here to the bottom right and side right, and then I put my design in the far left corner. So I have some extra stabilizer here that I can put to use somewhere else. This is I have it on a roll, so I just cut off a section of it. So I try to be a little economical. If I can move my design up to the top corner, I will do that, and that will give me some I can use this for something else, or maybe even this part. You always need a little piece for here and there, especially when you use your washaways. That's where I had that little section. I was cutting up another project the other day, and it had lots of little pieces, so I saved them so I could use it at another time. All right, let me check the comments before I go back to the other side. I think we're good here. Yep, you can use your cutwork needles with the 12,002. The cutwork, they're needle blades. What do they call them? They're called cutting needles or cutting blades, and they go right in the place of your needles in your machine, same spot. And the software on my machine, it shows. Let me look at one thing, and then I'll see if it shows in here. Okay, so let's look at this. This is my color list in the machine. And so these are threads, of course. These are the different color needles, and you can see the angles there. And then it's going to do some stitching. Then it has the colors, stitching, and then has more cutting. And this is the final part of it. And then you pop over here. That's the last little bit that's going to sew. So you can, it does show you where they are on your machine. Now, I'm sewing on the Continental M7. I know when I was on my 15,000, I used the cutting blades, and it started out by saying like black ink, blue ink, red ink, green ink, and then it went to, when they did an update in the software, it went to the needles. So I can't say for sure what it would look like in a 500E, 550E, 12,000, 15. Well, 15 I can tell you, but on the other ones I can't tell you for sure what it's going to look like, but it's going to be different than your thread. So you will know to change, and it does come up with messages on the screen. All right, so let's go into the software, and I'll show you creating some things. Let's see, here we go. Here we are. So this is a little design I'm working on for a skirt. And it's going to be open. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys could, whoops, that's not the way I wanted to zoom. Hold on. There we go. I want to get to my part. There we go. Put your part over there. So here are these three, I put these three diamonds together. And I'm actually going to put this on a skirt, a knit skirt. And I want to show you, let's see where I put my little part. I have two parts of this. Hang on. Maybe it's on the other side here. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to put the camera back on so you can see this part. I printed out two templates that I can use. So let's go here. So this is, this is just, let me get it. There we go. So this one is just a drawing of the design on the print feature. And I have a light over there that's kind of blocking everything. Let me see if I put this up. So on this one, you see I have the arrows, the positioning arrows. So what I plan to do, because I want to spray, I do want to make a little, I want to spray my knit down before I put it in the hoop, because on the cotton fabric I basted it in and it stays pretty well. But when I'm using a knit, I really want the knit to adhere to my stabilizer and my wash away stabilizer, so that, and I'm going to use wash away in the hoop. So I'm going to baste it on, I'm going to base my template on that design I just printed out. I'm going to cut a big square around it, so I know on my skirt on the back side where I can spray my stabilizer. So I'm just going to spray it in that one spot, and then I'll put it down on the hoop. So this is the skirt I'll be using. It looks like this, and then I'm going to put it along the bottom, just off on one side. And this is a bit of a knit, so I need to adhere it to the inside. The stabilizer needs to be here, so you don't want it moving around. And you'll get a much better cut if you adhere that onto your stabilizer, and then and you can even put wash away on the top when you do your cutting too. That could help. But there's some other things I'm going to show you that I did on my beehive one that will help you to get really much better cuts and that kind of thing. Let's see if there's anything in there. Marty, did you have a question? Oh yes, yeah. Jane was asking about the 15. Yep, they will all handle it. All right, so let's go back to the software, and then we'll get to how you actually create the cut work. So on this one, I just used my shape tool over here, and I put in well, not trapezoid. I put in my parallelogram, and I put like maybe I put 4. I think I used parallelogram. And then if you hold Control, oh, maybe it's not. Why is this not working? Maybe it's not parallelogram. Which one did I use? One of these. Maybe it was the rectangle or something. Anyways, you use your shape tool. Oh, this one I might have used a shape that I had. But let me go show you the B one, because that one is really, I'm going to pull it up first, and then we're going to create it. So here we go. So this is what the bee looks like. And over here in the sequence window, you're going to see the different levels. So the first thing it did was a little box to show me where to place my focus fabric, which is the yellow, and then it tacked it down. And then this part here is a little line that I like to put in before we get to the parts that are cut work. So I have that in there, and then we start the cut work. So let me show you in slow redraw, and I can talk to you about this as it goes. I'm going to pull in here close. So this part, I actually used the auto border tool and created this. It's not part of the cut work, but it's a little line that will be created inside of my shape. So it's going to do that one. It's going to go over to the other one. Because I combined them, they have these little jump stitches in them, which is okay. You could do them individually, but I wanted to join them and just do them a little quicker that way. So it'll do all one section. And so it's going to go around and do all of that and come back. So I'm going to bring it up to the red part. Here we go. So now it's doing the actual cut work. So this is my first offset line. And it's going to go around like 3 times, because you can set how many times you want it to go around. And I used to do just 1 time, and I'm really using like 2 and 3 times now. That really holds your fabric, holds your fibers, so you get a cleaner cut. So it's going to go around there, and it's actually going to cut between the green line and that red line. And I do these all in the same color that I'm going to do my top stitching in, my satin stitch at the end. So it's going to do this one, the little edge one. And I have you can spray, well, I spray basted my skirt, and then I'll put it onto the wash away. You want a nice firm wash away. So this is the cut, this is where it's doing the cut part. It looks like thread, but it's cutting. So it's cutting between these two, and it'll go all the way around. It goes around 1 time, and each of those angles has a different color blade that you put in. So there's all the cuts. Once it finishes the cuts, it's going to do all 3 of those sections. Then it goes back and it does that outer part that it went around like 3 times. Now it's doing, and I would have removed that inner part where you see the green. That would be gone, so you're not going to see it, even though you see it here. And then it starts the zigzag. And my zigzag just about covers the green, but the green really isn't there. When I take the fabric away, that green goes with the fabric. Does that make sense, everyone? Just give me a little thumbs up if you're following along on that part of it. So it's really easy to assign something cut work. So let me go here to new. And I'm just going to grab my rectangle, and I'm going to click and drag my rectangular shape. I'm going to just do one here, and then I'll show you how I did those hexes. So here's my square. If I wanted to do, and this would be really cool, you could do different size cutwork squares at the bottom of a skirt, like a denim skirt or something. That would look really cute, like a larger one, then maybe a smaller one, then a bigger one, or turn them on point, that kind of thing. You could do all of that. So there's my square, but I don't need the fill portion. So I could come down here and delete that. I only need the outer part. And one of the things I like to do is add that inner portion. So on that inner portion, I'm going to come up here to my, I have this selected. I'm going to go to Convert, Auto Border. And I want it to go to the inside. And I think my distance was, I think it's 0.3. Or is it 0.03? We'll see when I put it in here. And that's fine. I'm going to do a running stitch, and I'm going to do OK. So that would be that green tack down, and I'm going to turn it green so you guys can see. We'll be talking about the same things. So that's going to stitch, and I would put that first. When I go to resequence, it'll stitch this first, and then this is the line I'm going to use to base all my other lines for the cut work on. So I would select that line now, and in my properties, I'm going to pull up properties, and under outline, I will select cut work. And let's go over here. I have a little thing covering that right at the moment. Let's see here. There's cut work. And when I do cut work, I get some more things right here in my properties. So I can go down and make some changes. So my outline width, that's if I'm going to finish with a satin stitch, and we're going to jump down to the bottom of this for a minute. You can just have it with a running line. You could have a net fill in there, and you could have a net fill and a serial, satin serial around the outside. So you can do all of those things. But if I just wanted satin serial, up in here, I'm going to make this the width of my satin. And for these, I was using 3.0, and for my knit, I might go to 3.5 because it goes over the edge and gets pulled to the back. So it's not like a flat satin that you would normally use. So in here, I use millimeters, so I'm going to 3.0 mm, and it converts it to inches. And I want to put a running line before it does the cut line. And so I'm going to offset that. And I've played around with different offsets. So I think this offset is 0.035, and I'll show you that. And then let's scroll in here close so you can see. So, and let's make these, I'm going to make this red so we can see it a little bit better. Let's go here to red. There we go. All right, because the cut line, when they show you the cut, it comes out black. So this is my original line. This is going to be my offset, and then it's going to cut in here. So this line actually could be closer to there. That's normally how I do it, but we'll leave it there for now. And then in my, let's go back to this. In my properties, we're going to keep going down. This is where you pick your passes, and I like to do 3 passes. So I'm going to change that to 3. And basically, when I was playing around, I made some notes, and I played with different offsets to see what I liked. And I would stitch one and go, oh, it needs to be further or closer, however I want. So you have to do a little bit of playing to get it right. This is the length. I don't worry about my length. Then the cutting offset. This is where your blade is going to cut. And I want it to cut to the inside between my running offset and my green line. So in here, you have to put a negative number. And I'm going to use negative 0.12. And it will put that, did I hit enter? I did. Let's try it again. Negative 0.12. There we go. And now you can see this is going to be that cut line right in here. All right. And really, you'd want these lines, I think, closer together. But just to show you where they are, which I think is important to see where they are. So now we have our offset line, and now we can put another running line after it does the cut, and that one I like to put at I like to offset that at 0.051, and then you have to hit enter. There you go. So now I have my other offset, and that's going to go around 3 times too. Remember when we were stitching my hexie, it went around 3 times, and it really finishes that edge before you start your zigzag. And then down here, if I wanted a net fill, I would just pick net fill, and then I could change my net fill in here, but I'm not going to do net fill at the moment. I want a satin serial, and there's my satin serial. Now this is where it's going to be a problem. This line here is actually, I believe it's the cut line. So let's go back and look, because it's going to leave a wide spot. This is where slow redraw is your friend of all friends. Let's see where everything's going to be. So it's going to do my outside. Let's make it smaller. It's going to go around that 3 times. Oh, and I have my green in the wrong spot, but that's okay. I didn't move it. And there's my cut. And then it's going to do my zigzag. So my zigzag, when you look at this, I'll stop it. When I did that offset here, it's leaving all this fabric in here, this little space. So this zigzag either has to be really wide, or I need to bring that offset back this way. Does that make sense? So let me show you on the B block. We'll look at that up close. And we'll do the green onto the other part. So remember when we were over here, let's do that green part. This is the line I make myself, and I usually do it to the inside. And then let's stop this for a minute so we can see. This line here is my first offset. Okay, it's the running before offset. And then it's going to finish that one. It does that one around each of these. And when it finishes that, it'll go to the cut. So here it starts the cut. And this is what you want. You want that green, you want that space between the green and your red not very wide. And I don't know, maybe I can measure that. Let's see. That is about, 0.08. So your offset for your green could be like 0.08 off your center part. Whoops, let's go back to there, to your slow redraw. And then once it gets through the cut portion, it'll start the zigzag. So this is the zigzag. And see how my zigzag now touches the green, but over here, see how far away it is from, this would be my cut line, and my green would be way over here. So you really have to make yourself some samples to understand where everything goes, and then play with the parameters to bring things in closer or further apart, however you need them to go. And it's really interesting to look at where it cuts. Now, if you wanted to, let's go back to the B block for a minute. If you wanted to not use if you didn't have cutting blades, you really would just need to have 2 lines, and you would cut between them with, like a X-Acto knife. You'd take your hoop off, keep everything in your hoop, and put it on your cutting mat, and use your X-Acto knife to cut in here. Then put your hoop back on, and then you could do it. If you didn't have the cutting blades, you'd have to do it manually. Yeah, Marty, I'll be posting some notes. I probably won't put them up till Monday. They're a little more detailed, so I started them, and then I got bombarded with a couple other things today and yesterday, so I'm a little bit running behind. But I will post notes for this because it is part of our block series, so you can see that, especially this part. And I went and looked, I downloaded from the manual just the pages for this so I could understand, and I could look at the offsets and make some notes for myself, like, oh, this offset, for me, I'm very spatial. So, a negative number is going to move your offset to the inside. and an offset number is going to just bring it to the outside. So those are some things you have to remember, but they're in the manual. So if you look in the notes for the manual on cutwork, you'll find that information. So let me show you how I got my bee block to be where it's at. So it looks like this. All right, so this was, I think, fairly simple, well, sort of fairly simple to do. So I started with, and I don't have one here, so I'll go borrow one. What I did is I took my block base, which is actually these first two parts here, okay, and I'm going to copy those and go to a new page. Let's see if I can go over here and copy, and I'll go to a new page. So you bring in your block base, and typically when we start our monthly block, that's what we do. And I'm going to do center to hoop because I know it's somewhere else here. And when my hoop is away, I can go to zoom, zoom all, and it brings it right to center for me. So this is my block base. This is my, where it shows me where my fabric has to reach to, placement. This is tack down. So when I create my hexie and I cover that, that's what I want to work for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my hexie using the polygon, and my hexie had 6 sides, and when you hit the control, I'm actually going to come over here to do this. When you hit control and drag, why are my shapes not working today? Something is going on here. There it goes. There, whoops, control, there it goes. And there's my hexie. Then you are going to delete your inside part. We don't need the inside. And I'm going to turn the outside a different color so that we'll be able to follow this a little easier. We don't have some red in there, so I'll use the red. And my hexie for mine was like, I think the width was like 1.68. and the height was 1.87, something like that, okay? There we go. And how I figured out what I wanted is when I started working over here, I could figure out when I laid a couple of them over there, like, oh, those are too big or too small. And I don't really want to go below an inch, or maybe 3/4 would be the, an inch really is kind of tiny. I really don't want to go smaller than that. So then I took my design, and why are we catching something over here? Something is happening. Let's do this and do ungroup. There we go. All right, then I went to my array, rectangular array. And in my spacing, I put, for the horizontal spacing here is at 0.25, it's 1/4 inch. And I really want vertical to be the same. But in order to get the vertical, because we're going to shift a row, I had to overlap my pieces by a little bit. And so I measured that overlap, and it came out, I think it was 0.13. Let me see what happens with that. Not quite. It's in my notes, which are not here, so I'm just going to bring this up like this. In the notes, you'll see what this is the gap I'm looking at right in here. How far, and if you put it in, oh, I know what it was. It was a negative number, sorry, negative 0.13. That might be enough. Because when we get done, now that I have way too many, I really just need 5 by 5. So I'm going to change this to 5 and this one to 5, like that. There we go. And I'm going to select apply. And then I'm going to deselect it, and I'm going to click on this one here, and I'm going to select all of this row down here. And it's only going to select these ones that I'm touching. And I'm going to use my keyboard arrows, and I'm going to bring this over this way and put it sort of, so it lines up right in here. Now if I had a grid on, I could use a grid. Yeah. And so how I figured out what I wanted is I want this distance here the same as here, and it's really not, so I think I have to change. I have to look at my notes. I have it in the notes what that difference is. But I just kept going back and figuring out how far up I had to make that go to make it even. So all I had to do was slide one row over. So it's really not bad. I'm okay. You can't use the same measurement because of the sliding over. It's this angle kind of here. So if I measured this, let's go in close. This is like 0.37, and this one is, like 0.2426, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, so I was close with the the -1.3. I think it's -1.5 is really what that distance needs to be. But once you get this, okay, let's see if we have, yes, cutwork is going to be part of block 7. And you can do it with scissors. You don't have to do it with the cutwork blades. I'll give you the option. And then I'm just going to drag this over on top of the base, the block base. And what I'm looking at is where the hexes are falling based on the gold line. That's the seam line. All right, that's going to be my seam line. So I want to make sure, I don't have any weird, like this isn't going to be good. The satin stitching right on the seam line, that's not going to be good. So I'm going to bring this over. I may drag it down like that. Let's see what this side looks like. This is right on, so it needs to come back over the other side. And while you're doing this, if you get to a point where like it's close, I just need to make it a little smaller, use your, use your arrows, or come up here and do proportional and make it, maybe 5% smaller, like let's put it at 97, like that. And then just that tiny little bit, and then you can put it in here so you have it. And that doesn't look so bad. Everybody's inside. What's it look like down here? So down at this end, this is good. So this end has just this little, if we can look in close, this part's all going to be away. Anything outside that gold line is going to be gone. So let me see if I could pull down the top just a little bit. What's the top look like? No, I think we're probably okay. All right, so once I have it there, I can click off of it. And then I want to click on any of the ones that are way outside here. Those I don't have to, those are easy to get rid of, right? I'm just going to get rid of them. And I could just go around. Okay, all of these bottom ones down here, I can select these all at once, and I could get rid of them. There we go. The rest of them I'll need to trim, okay? Because I don't want my, I don't need this whole piece being done. I just need it to go, it can go satin stitching all the way out here, but it can't, I don't need it to go around there. That's a lot of extra that I don't need. Though one of my blocks is done that way. But you don't actually have to. So to remove that, we use my favorite tool, the Digitize Outline Shape tool first, because we're going to do knife, and I'm going to put a line there and do end shape, left click, right click, and shape. Then we're going to select it and select the other one and the piece you want to cut, right click again, knife. Right click one more time. I can see that line, so I have to right click one more time, knife, and then I can just click on here and take that away. All right, and that's how I did this. I just went around and I just put my little shapes. Now I have done it where I've gone all the way around my block, putting my lines and and then going back and doing it all at once. But it seems for me, when I do it one at a time, it works out so much better. So I just did a shape at a time and just did my knife cuts. And I'm going to show you one line of how to do your hexes with the there. So and this one here, I would even trim that one because it's right there. You could just put a little trim right in here. So I would just go through and trim all those ones that are sticking out. Does that make sense? All right. Once those are trimmed, I can go back in and decide which ones I want to be open open cells and which ones that I want to have closed. So what I did is I picked like this one here. I wanted that one to be a cut work block. So I went over here and I selected cut work on that one, and then I liked this one. And I'm actually, let me go back and undo that for a minute. Let me select this guy. Oh, let's delete that. So I went and selected the ones that I want for the cut work part, and then the parts that I want to be full. So the ones that I'm not going to change, I'm going to turn those green, and I'm just going to select all the ones that I think I'm not going to cut. Oh, that one I cut. So let's turn that one back to red. Let's see. This one is green. This one is green, and you can put them in any, in any place you want. You don't have to do them where I put them, but I just picked a selection of them that I wanted to use for the green, which is in my block was blue actually. So now I have, oh, and this one over here. Let's see. And I had one over here. So these are the ones that are going to stay solid. They're going to be closed. I'm going to call them closed cells. So what I want to do is on my green square, I'm going to right click, select by color. I'm going to come over here to my properties, and I'm going to choose satin serial for the outline, and I'm going to make my outline 3.0 mm. Now those are done. Okay, so I don't have to think about them. Now the rest of them are my ones that are going to be cut work. And I'm going to leave these here. I could go and cut them right now, but I'm not going to cut them at the moment. These would have been cut also, any of these on the outside. And they're easier to cut when they're straight stitches. But just to show you how to do the next part, you can right click on the red, select by color. Oh, before you do, well, let's do it this way. We want to make that inside line, so we're going to do an auto border. I think it'll work this way, to the inside, and we're going to make that at, let's see, 0.05 I think will work. And okay. Did it make it to the inside? Yes, it did. And I'm going to, that's that little inner line. I'm going to turn that bright green color. So let's find my yellow green. There we go. And we can see that line inside there, right? And then I'm going to select the red again. So you can do all of your cut work things all at once by selecting them all at once and going to properties and then putting in all your parameters in here after you select cut work. All right, and here my outline width is going to be 3.0 mm. My running before was 0.035. The offset, oops, 35. Let's try that again. 0.035 return. Length is okay. 3 times around. Length is good there. Cutting offset was going to be negative. It's a negative. Oh, let's highlight it first of all. Negative 0.012. Enter. I'm going to do a running afterwards. That offset is, I believe, 0.051. And then we'll do 3 passes there. And at the bottom here, my satin serial. So let's take a look at this. There's it's all done. But I need to sequence it now so it'll stitch a little bit better. So to do your sequencing, I know I need the black one to be first, so I'm going to look to see where that is. I'm going to go up here to auto. There we go. So it's going to do the black placement. It's going to tack down, and then I really want it to do that lime green first. So I'm going to do right click on the lime green over here, select by color. I can drag that up to the top, or I can right click and do order and find the spot it goes. So it's going to go right there. So it's going to do that first. And next it's going to do the red portions. And so when I did the red portions, I picked 3 of them at a time, like this. And I right clicked on them and did combine. And then I did the other 3, and then I organized them that way. So I'll go back to my original to show you my bee block. Let's get my inner thing out of the way so you can see. So in my sequencing, you can see I did all that green first, and then I did the groupings of 3. And I think I did the 3 because I was going to show you guys a section of it, and I just wanted to make sure I had it pulled apart. So you could do them all at once, but in groups of 3, what it'll do is it'll finish all of this one, and then move on, and then move on. And then you'll make a copy of the yellow block and put it there, because that's where you're going to put your bee fabric on the back with the batting, and you're going to tack it down with this, and then you're going to finish up with the satin stitch there, and you're all done. So let me go back. I'm going to go back to the camera and see if there's any questions. I know sometimes it's clear as mud when you see it happening, but I would start practicing. Try it with a small design. When you start, do a square, or even do a hexie. Make 1 hexie and work with that and see how that works. Now, if you're doing it with scissors, what you'll do is you'll have your hexie size, and then how I did the green to the inside. You'll want to do the green to the inside, and that's where you're going to cut. You're going to cut between that red line and the green line. So make those like 2 passes each, 2 or 3 passes each. Then when you move your hoop off onto your cutting mat, you can take an X-Acto and cut, or even one of those tiny little rotary, how they're little tiny rotaries. You can just cut away the fabric that way too if you don't have the cutting blades. It's easy to do that. Oh, Kathleen, you're right about a neckline. I'm doing that skirt, but I have a Miriam did this design. Oh, I didn't even show you guys this. Miriam, there's so much stuff. I'm going to have to do a second one with how to take an embroidery design and turn it into a cutwork design. So Miriam has this bow that she did using the embroidery link software or app, and she put it on a sweater. It's one of the videos that we've been doing. We haven't showed it yet, so I'm not sure where it is, but she did it on a sweater. And so when she was doing it, we were both like light bulbs going off in our heads, like, oh, this is cutwork. We could do it as cutwork. And it's actually a design that's in the CM17. So I want to do that like on the shoulder. It goes up and over, cutwork on the shoulder of a sweater. So you're right. A neckline would be great, just like my dress. This was super, super simple. All right. This looks very difficult. This is a circle that after I created it, I went over there to the properties and I said cutwork, gave me all my lines. I set the registrations for them. I added an extra outline with a decorative stitch, as you can see there. And then I went and stitched it on. So you could do it like this. You could do it open. You didn't have to fill it like that. You could leave it open. And you could do, there's my neckline, but you could do all the way across. Little squares, the edge of a skirt. Tons of things. Just do a little sample. Try it. If you're using a knit, try it on a knit first so you can see when it cuts, because sometimes knits are a little bit messy when they cut. So you do have to trim them. So they really need the 2 lines to go between, to cut between, because it holds it better. And a knit needs a little bit of a spray to hold it to your stabilizer so that you can use it that way. You can, you don't have to use a wash away for the base of it. If you wanted to do like when I use the quilting one, I use the cutaway, the mesh cutaway. You could do that and then just cut it on the back side if you want to use that in there. Sometimes knits might need a little bit more. I know, I love that dress. If I had a chance, I wish I had another chance to wear it. We'll see. And I love it. I just love it so much. Oh, yes, embroidery designs to cutwork. Yes, I'll do another one of these. I'm going to make a note of that because I wanted to show that today, but it's just so much to show all at once on there. And so I'll be posting the bee block with directions on how I did it. So you'll be able to go back even if you're not doing the bee block. I always try to do the quilt block of the month with something you can use elsewhere. You'll learn a little bit more about doing the cutwork part of it, so that'll be really good for you guys. All right, put your comments below. It'll probably be Monday, maybe Tuesday before I get to the notes. I have a little adventure happening this weekend, so I might be typing on the go. Who knows what I'll be doing? So I got to get all that down. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining me. It's been a blast. And check out your cutwork in your manual. You can take a look under cutwork and see how it all is. Look at those offsets. And I'm visual, so I had to stitch a couple out to see, like, where is that line? I need to know where that line is. So that, and using slow redraw, your friend forever. Really. Go in there and look. Make one design. Go in. You know how I showed you the square? Go in there and look. It'll help you tremendously. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great weekend. And enjoy. I know it's Thursday, but for me, it's like the weekend.